We're going to start today lying on our backs, please. So lying on our backs, come all the way down, knees bent up, feet flat. Just drop in, relax arms wherever they're comfortable. Spread your toes, drop into the soles of the feet. Easy breaths, just let yourself settle in and arrive. Starting to focus inwards, letting go of everything from before, everything still to come, and give yourself this time out to be really present, to be really connected with your body, your breath, and whatever is arising for you today, noticing your mood, whether your mind is a bit restless, maybe you're calm and focused, or maybe that's your practice for today, is to find a sense of calmness, clarity, focus. So all we're focusing on in this moment is the breath, getting a breath moving into your body, feeling where it fills into all the space of your torso. And as your breath releases, notice what you feel in your body. Maybe a sense of calmness and clarity. Energizing breaths in and calming breaths out. Staying just as we are for a few more breaths. Notice something you can let go of the next out breath. Maybe a bit of tension in the back muscles, maybe tightness in the chest. Maybe your arms feel heavier, your feet drop into the floor. And we'll slowly bring in some movement. Just start by turning your head over to one side. Let it rest there for a moment. And then over to the other side. To the first side again. And the other side. Alright, this time we'll let the knees fall over to the side, just keeping your feet touching the ground. You might even like to turn your head to the opposite direction. Dropping in again. Easy breaths. And then over to the other side, so the knees fall across. Head turns to look away. And coming back up through center. Okay, now bringing your hands to your hips. And just start to rock your pelvis forward and back. So we're pressing the tailbone down, letting the hips lift. So feeling your back arch away from the ground. And then coming to the other way, where we're pressing the lower back down into the floor. And the tailbone lightens. Tipping again, so tailbone tilts down, back arches away from the ground, and again pressing down through the lower back, so the abs might tighten up here. So what we want to do now is find a neutral position where we're about halfway in between. So we want about the space of your hand to fit behind your lower back. So we're not arching and we're not pushing down. We're just in a nice neutral position where we're slightly engaged through the abs and just the width of your fingers can fit behind your lower back. So as you slide your hand beneath your back, get a sense of how much tension you need in the abdominals, and hold that position and bring your hands to your hips again. So that's your neutral position. Now from here, staying in that neutral position, float one foot off the ground without moving the hips. So we want to keep the abdominals active, but not crunching in really tight, just enough tension to hold your position. Float the foot down, so just keep the foot light on the ground, and then lift the other foot. Touching down, come to the first side again. And make sure you're not tightening up around your neck muscles, keep your head relaxed. And we'll just lift and tap the foot down again. So going at your own speed, you can take it slower if you want to. Keep the foot light as you touch down. Focus your attention on maintaining this position, this neutral position through the torso as we lift one foot at a time. Just a couple more. All right, now bringing both feet up and keep your knees tracking above your hips. Or if there's a lot of strain around the hips or in the hip flexors, you can bring the knees just a little bit closer in, but try not to round out through the lower back. So we want to again maintain that neutral position in the spine. Bring your arms out wide. You can have palms up or down, that's your choice. But anchor your shoulders and arms to the floor. And we'll just twist through the midsection, lowering your knees just partway over to one side. Keep your shoulders anchored on the ground so they're not lifting off. Come back up through center and over to the other side. So we'll breathe in as we come through center and breathe out each time we lower. So you can just feel for yourself how far you can go without you losing the integrity of your core. Breathe in and breathe out. Remember to make it a little bit easier if your hands, if your hip flexors are straining, knees come closer towards you. Otherwise, you might be moving your knees just a little bit further out, but again, we don't want to be arching the back away from the ground. And let's just do one more to each side. Taking a breath in through center, a breath out as we lower. Breath in through center, breath out to lower. All right, bring your knees up, one hand to each knee, just hug them in and take a couple of breaths just to reset here. Okay, big toes come together, knees open wide, just get to do a gentle hip stretch, so hands come to your shins, or reaching out to your feet, you can get that far without straining. So keeping your knees open wide and press your tailbone into the ground so that we're not curling away from the ground. So we've actually still got that neutral spine position. Shoulders broaden and relax around your neck and your chest. Breathe all the way down into your lower abdomen. Even breathing down into the space of the lower back. Just a couple more breaths. This is a lovely way to prepare for sitting in cross legs if you usually feel quite tight through the hips, but it's also very supportive for the lower back. All right, slowly release your feet and come and turn over and up to seated position. Cross legs. Take your time coming up. No rush. Have a wee wriggle and shuffle around and try to sit evenly on both sides. Hands come to your knees or just in your lap. And close your eyes to focus your attention inwards again. So bringing awareness to your posture. Does it feel like you started to arch through the back, one way or the other. You find that neutral position again. So just very slightly active through the abs, and make sure that we're not rounding out through the lower back. You know, that can be hard if we put quite tight through the hip flexors. Get a sense of lengthening all the way up to the crown of the head. Shoulders broaden and gently fall away from ears. And bring your attention to your breath, drawing it in deeply all the way down to the lower abdomen if you can. Filling the space of the lower back. And even as you breathe out, there's a little softness that comes into your posture without completely relaxing. Just a couple more breaths. And then eyes float open. Sweep one arm up, so send it straight up. And then lift just a little bit higher, so reach through the fingertips. And then tipping your head to the opposite side. Just tip your head, your ear down towards your shoulder. There's a lot of space down the side body, a lot of length here. And then keeping your head tipped to one side, float the arm out wide. Then slowly down. And then recenter, hand to knee, come upright again. So to the other side, reach your arm up. And then reach your fingers just a little bit further. Tip your head over to the other shoulder. Another breath. And then send your arm out wide. Nice and slow, there's no hurry. And down. Hand comes to knee. Through center. To the first side again. Just come in a little bit further. Tip your head over. And take it really slow. Coming open, wide and down. To center again. Other arm up. And reach. Tip. And open. Take it slow, sweeping down, and hands to knees, come up through center again. Float one hand behind you, doesn't matter which one, we always do both sides. And just gently rotate, so there's no strain here, so just look as good as possible. Just really mindfully rotating around the rib cage, turning your shoulders, and even turn your head to look over your shoulder. Using the opposite knee for support, but try not to really force yourself into the twist, just for a little bit of leverage here. Easy breaths, breathing into the belly and the lower back area. Coming through center, one hand to each knee. Take a breath in, and with your out breath, work the other hand behind. Turn and open. Let the opposite shoulder fall away when you can't see. Conscious breath in. And reset. Just come around to the other side again. So taking a breath in first. And a breath out, sweeping behind. Breath in through center. Breath out to turn. All right. One more stretch from this position. Float your hand to the floor and sweep the other arm up. Send it up high to that extra little reach, and then come across for a side stretch. Now bring your attention here to your posture that we've been working hard on already. So make sure that you're not folding forward and arching back, and make sure you're not collapsing. So you can just feel for yourself a position that is neutral, so somewhere in between. So there's a real sense of lifting and lengthening here. And just a little softness as we let shoulders fall. Let your chest soften. Easy breaths. Come to the other side, so just float the hand down, other arm reaches up, take it that extra little bit higher, and come over. Notice if your tendency is to collapse one way or the other, find neutral. And if there's a lot of tension in the hip area, just try to let your knees fall open and try to just relax as much as you can through the hips. So it might just be an unconscious tendency just to kind of grip. So if you can, just consciously relax. And one more time to each side. So we'll smooth it out now. Take a breath in as you lift and keep breathing in. And a breath out, come over. And to the other side. With the next breath in, create length. With the out breath, sweetness. All right, and release. Come on over, passing through hands and knees. And we're going to make our way up into a forward fold. So step your feet under your hips. You can start with a very generous knee bend. And tipping from hips, think about hinging from hips, let your arms fall. Let the crown of your head drop, shoulders relax. Spread your toes open, and then start to push down into the balls of the feet and the heels, and begin to send your hips higher. So there's a point where you might kind of stop because your hamstrings feel tight. So that's about the place that you want to explore. So it's not about having perfectly straight legs and then hanging from here. That puts all the pressure into the lower back. You want to find length here by tipping the tail up and letting your upper body drape down. So if your knees are really bent, that's perfectly fine. It's all progress. And you might even hold on to your elbows. You can hold still, or you can go from side to side, whatever feels good to you. Alright, let your arms hang and curl your body up to standing. Coming all the way up. And once you're upright, sweep arms high. Bring hands together and lower thumbs to your heart space. So take a moment here to readjust to being upright. And close your eyes if you want to, or soften your eye focus. Let's set our posture from the ground up. So spreading your toes. Try to bring your weight evenly forward and back. So we've got just as much weight in the balls of the feet as back in the heels. There's a little softness in the knees, so we're not completely locking the knees. You may like to bring your hands to your hips, just to feel that same position we were in when we were lying on our backs and also seated. So, or even bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your lower back. Just noticing whether your natural tendency is to curve a lot through the lower back and drop the belly. And it's really just a very small movement, a sense of lengthening down through the lower back and a little lift through the belly. So we're not tucking it hard under either, because that's not natural either. It's just really that little sense of lengthening down and drawing up through the belly. Okay, so hands come to your hips, and you can start to feel here that there's a bit of tension in the abdominals, just to help support your position, help support your pose, and maybe even a little bit of activity in the glutes. Let shoulders broaden and drop away from ears gently without pulling them down hard. And we're coming into a side stretch, so just release one arm and sweep it up and over. So you can step your feet a little bit wider if it's hard to maintain this position. So if you find that your back wants to arch again, then just step the feet a little bit wider. Okay, hands come to hips. Other side, breathe the arm up. And breathing out, come over. Let's do one more to each side. So breathe to lift. Breathing out. And to the other side. Moving with breath. Let it go. All right, reset. So if you're on a yoga mat, stand at the end of your yoga mat. Bring your feet a bit closer together. They might be touching or just slightly apart. Take a deep knee bend. So again, we want to maintain this position so we're not dropping the belly. So that little lift, give a slight engagement in the abdominals. Sitting hips down towards heels, just as low as you can. Okay, let's start with the left leg, just as the way I'm facing. So bring the weight into your right leg and float your left heel off the ground. Just pause here for a moment and then send the leg back into a lunge. Okay, now spin your feet. So we are now here. And come into, let's go right arm lifts. So stretching up tall. Make sure that we're not collapsing. So got that little tilt again. Strong and active, maybe even a little bit of a squeeze in the glutes. Coming over. Hold for another breath here. Okay, towards the left leg. Reach out long. So tipping from your hips. Come out as far as you can. And when you can't come any further, bring your hand to your leg. So wherever you land, it might be up around the thigh, or maybe you can get down around the ankle or palm. So we're just leaning in here. Hold and breathe. Now bending your left knee and bring your fingertips to the floor. Or if you need to be higher, you can be resting on your thigh, just nice and lightly. So bring your hips down as low as you can. So keep your hips around about the same height as your shoulders, so that we're not here. Hips nice and low. And then walk your hands across to the right foot in your side lunge. Hold for another breath here. Keep breathing right down into your lower belly, into the space of the lower back. And then spin on the feet so that we're in a lunge again. Plant your left hand to the floor. Reach your right arm forward. Then turn and open to a lunge twist. Hold for another breath. And then bring both hands to the floor. Drive down into your front foot and shift your weight until you can drag the back foot off the ground. And then step feet under your hips into a forward fold. Back where we started. So you can hold your arms or you can just let them hang loose. Stay still or bring a movement. All right, bring your feet closer together. Take a deep knee bend, hands to hips. Sit hips nice and low. Take a moment to bring your attention to your posture and adjust if needed. So bring your weight evenly front and back in the feet so that we're not all into the toes or balls of the feet. This time, we're lifting the right heel, so all the weight comes into the left leg. Pause for a moment, take a breath. Then send the leg back. Spin on your feet. And the left arm comes up and over. Stay for another breath. And now tipping forward from your hips, so try to hinge at the hips, reaching out long, pull up through the kneecaps, so activate the quads so that we're not just hanging off the legs. No, we want to be really strong here. So you reach out and then come down, so whether you're up here or down here, doesn't matter, as long as it's right for you. Okay, let's go into our side lunge. So bend to the right knee, fingertips to the floor, or coming up to your thigh if you need to be higher. So you might be getting a lot of feedback from the groin area and the thighs. If you are, you can come higher. Or if you want to deepen, keep sinking your hips lower and reach for the floor. And see what would happen if you strengthen this long leg. So we're not just letting it relax here. Drive down into your left foot. Walk your hands across, over to the left side. Let's sink those hips low again. Don't forget about that back foot, so we want to keep some strength in the right leg. Then pivot on your feet, lift the back heel so that we're in a lunge again. Plant the right hand and reach your left arm forward. Turn and open, send your left arm high. Another breath here. And then fingertips to the ground. And shift your weight into the front foot. And keep shifting forward until you can lift the back leg off. Then step into your forward fold. All right, we're going to do it all again, but we'll smooth everything out this time. So, feet come together. Sit hips back and down, and if you want to, you can bring in the arms, sweeping up high. But as you bring in the arms, notice if your back starts to arch again, so we want to maintain this position. So you can keep hands to hips if you need to, but do try to maintain this position as we sweep the arms up. Sit hips nice and low. Left heel lifts, or you could lift the whole foot off. Pause here. And then step back, reach fingertips high, and spin on your feet. So toes, your feet are parallel, and come over for a side stretch. You can have hand to hip, or you can slide your hand down. Coming over, tipping from hips, reach out nice and long, and then bring the hand to wherever it reaches. Somewhere on the leg or the ankle. Bend the left knee, drop into your side lunge. Keep both legs active, so try to pull up through that right quad muscle. Then come over towards the right foot, side lunge. Then pivot on your feet, lift the back heel, reach your right arm forward. Then turn your body open, fingertips high. Hand comes to the floor. Shift your weight, lift the back leg off. It might start to come a bit higher now. Keep your fingers really light. And step into your forward fold. So feet come a little bit closer. Sweep arms up or hands to hips. Sit back and down. Okay, this time the right heel lifts off or the whole foot comes off. So we're in a half squat here. Stepping back. Lift your chest, stretch your fingertips high. Take a breath. And then pivot on your feet to your wide stance. Left arm comes over, hand to hip or slide down. Just make sure that you're not collapsing through the middle. So we're lifting and lengthening, long line all the way up through your body. And tipping forward from your hips. Keep reaching out forward, pull up through the kneecaps, activate the quads. And come over the leg, high or low, you choose. Bending the right knee for your side lunge. So just make sure that you're not sending your hips high, your chest low. Here we want to be more parallel with the ground. So bringing the hips nice and low. You might be getting a big stretch into the groin or inner thigh. Keep the left leg strong. And then move over towards the left leg, dropping in. Pivot on your feet. Plant your hand, reach the left arm forward and up. Okay, and then shifting your weight forward, drag the back leg off the ground, maybe bring it higher, and step in. So hanging out in our forward fold, feet under hips. Tip hips up, drag your body down. Knees might still be quite bent. I'm not worried about how straight the legs are, but I do want you to bring your focus to your lower back area. Make sure there's no pressure there from hanging. Think about hinging forward from the hips, not from the spine. Loosen up through the head. Loosen up shoulders. Easy breaths. All right, now scoot one leg under. Come and take a seat. Send one leg out to the diagonal and the other foot tucks in. So it might be a bit further away from you. You might be tucking it in close. And let's sit up tall again. Hand on top of your leg or inside, and let's add a side stretch. So reaching the back arm up, coming over, and keep trying to revolve your rib cage so you're dipping your shoulder towards your leg. Okay, now the top hand comes behind your hip and lift your hips off the ground, reaching the other arm high and rotate your shoulders open, visualizing that long line from your foot all the way up through your body and out to fingertips. So pushing your hips high, drive down into the foot that's bent underneath you, and slowly come down to land. Switching the legs over. Moment to get comfortable. So sitting up tall, hand on top or inside. Sweep the other arm over, so reach it up high first, and then curve across. Keep rolling the rib cage around. Easy breaths. Now the top hand comes behind the hip. Push the ground away from you as you lift hips up and sweep the other arm over. Long line all the way up through your body. And slowly lower back down again. Send your legs out long in front of you in the little shape up. So keep your feet around a distance apart, or even a little bit wider if you prefer. And imagine like you're standing on something, so you're not letting your feet turn out, sickle out. You want to try to bring the feet square like you're up against a wall. Shuffle the hips back, sitting up nice and tall and hinging forward from hips. Float your hands either sides of the legs, belly drawing in. Just tilt the chin down a little bit. So jaw back towards your throat, so the back of the neck is long. Quite an active pose here. So we're not just completely relaxing and collapsing into it. Imagine that you've got your feet up against the wall and you're lengthening all the way up through the torso, just tipping forward. Don't worry if it feels like you're still quite upright. That might just be the limitation of the structure of your pelvis or the length of your hamstrings. Just find a place where you can breathe easy. Each breath might take you just a little bit further forward. Another breath here. And then sitting up again, bend your knees up a little and let them fall out to the sides. So instead of being here, we're just going to keep the feet further away, let the knees fall open, hold on to your shins or your ankles wherever you can reach. Try to keep this nice length up through the back body so that we're not hinging at the spine, we're actually tipping forward from the hips. So keeping your body long, just start to lean forward. Easy breaths. Let your breath fill into the space of your lower back, out to the sideburns, across your upper back, all the way down into your belly. And sense the chest rising and falling. Couple more breaths, 2 or 3 more. And eventually, when you're ready, in your own time, come and lie all the way down onto your back. Arms just comfortably at your sides, just a little bit away from your body. Knees up, feet to the floor. Now let your knees drop over to one side, and maybe turn your head to the opposite direction. And over to the other side. Now you can keep going back and forth with your feet touching the ground, or you might lift your feet up and lower knees over to one side, turning to look away if it feels right to you. Coming up through center and over to the other side. We'll do one more on each side. Through center with the in-breath, lowering with the out-breath. And one last time. Okay, let's settle in just for the last couple of minutes of our class. So you could finish as we started, with feet on the floor and knees bent up, or you could turn the soles of your feet together and let your knees drop open. If you're here, check in, make sure that your back isn't arching away from the ground. So make sure that you can maintain a nice, easeful position without any strain. Arms relaxed, either at your sides or hands on your belly if you prefer. Eyes closed. All we're doing here is redirecting our attention, focusing inwards on the breath, feeling the way your breath moves into your body, feeling the space that it fills, and noticing how your body feels as each breath leaves your body. Focusing your attention again. Feel the movement of breath. Feel the difference between the inhalation and the exhalation. And when you're ready to bring in a little movement again, you might start with a big stretch out, lengthening from fingers to toes. Gathering knees up again towards you and tuck them in. And finally come back up into a seated position. Take as long as you want. Settling in, feeling your posture, adjusting if you need to. Check in with your breath, let it feel spacious, full. And finishing together with one more breath. Stretch arms up with the in-breath. Connect. And come down your centre with the out-breath to land at your heart space. Thank you once again for having me. So nice to have you all.